think the keynote speaker that we have here today demonstrates the government's strong commitment to this initiative and indeed the wider project that we're here for today. At this time, I'd like to invite His Excellency Prime Minister Samuel Hines to make a few remarks. Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kiari Liman Tingwiri, Resident Rep, United Nations, Resident Rep in Guyana, Mr. Trevor Clark, Project Manager, EPTSI. I see in the audience an old colleague, Mr. Joe Singh, and I think I see also someone from DFID. Ladies and gentlemen, our group of 45 volunteers and parents and others, I bring greetings from His Excellency the President, who until perhaps an hour ago was trying to join you here at the launching of this program. He greatly regrets not being able to be here, and I trust that you would understand with his recent programs, being chairman of the CARICOM at this time, the recent participation in the CHOGM, Commonwealth Heads of Governments meeting only last week, and his ongoing thrust and drive for mankind to address the challenges, almost the crisis before us of climate change. With all that, he has been unable to be here today. But I'm pleased for the opportunity to come and speak to you, to commend these 45 young people and to encourage them in their commitment to make a contribution to the improvement of our country and to be the change that our country requires. And I would like to say to you that perhaps so many years from now, when you would be as old as I am, that the only test of how well you've done is the change that has been made in Guyana and in the world at large at the end of the day. The only test is the change that has been brought about. Whether we do right or whether we do wrong is important, but the test is the change that we've brought about. And I speak to the issue of our judgments as to whether we're doing right or whether we're doing wrong, because I too, our president, and all of us older generation have been youth at some time. And I'd like to assure you that we have all been struggling with the challenges before us in Guyana. These are challenges that every country, every society faces, but they are particularly difficult, I think, in our circumstances. And those two challenges are to keep the people all together in harmony with enough of a common purpose, something to work towards that extends, that overarches over all of them. This is one of the challenges, to keep people in a society working together. And the other challenge we always have is to arrange for the material things that we need, is to arrange for us to ourselves produce the goods and services that we need as customers. We often say in Guyana and elsewhere, I guess, that we need a good life. But the good life is the result, or what we have is what we produce. So these two challenges for us in Guyana are I think, a bit more difficult than in other places. The challenge of coming together as one people across the differences that exist historically, the differences in religion, the differences in race, the differences in location and life experiences, the urban-rural difference, which is reflected also in the politics and the sociologies in the USA and in England and elsewhere. So it's a real challenge to come together as one people. It's also a challenge for us to improve the physical living in our country, the improve of the material standards of living in our country. We look to the developed countries and we see how things are there. And naturally, we want those things immediately today. We want the television sets, we want the cars they have, we want the roads they have. And it's very easy to be seduced into thinking that this is the way things should be. And they are not so because some particular person who doesn't think well of us has arranged for us not to have those things. I can speak about it because these questions went through my mind too when I was young. How is it that those countries have all those things they have and we have none here in Guyana? Fortunately for me, it so happened that in school, I think Joe may have done the same course in modern Britain, which described how Britain and developed countries made that advance from where we are in Guyana then in the 1950s and where we still are not as much advanced as I would like. How they made that advance, all the difficulties that were involved. It was the period of all the great revolutions, the industrial, the agricultural, the industrial, the American, the French Revolution, Russian Revolution. I think that the change to make this transition is extremely challenging, could be traumatic, and I look to examples. My training has disposed me to look to examples of people, other groups who may have made similar transitions. So we face still in Guyana largely these two challenges of becoming one people and developing our country materially and socially.